welcome back to the channel. It has been quite a long time since I've made a video, and a lot has happened since the last time I made one, and got a few updates for you guys, but right now I'm going to introduce what this race is. So this is the Chesapeake Criterium and also the Virginia State Championships, Cat 4. So this was actually a while ago. I think this was about a month and a half or 2 months ago. Yeah, it's been that long since I've made a video, so I have a lot of footage. I have a lot of other races that I need to make, so stay tuned for more videos. But so major update number one, I am actually no longer on Evo. So this race was the last race I did for Evo, and I have joined Meta, which may not come as a surprise to many of you since I've been riding with Meta for a long time. Done more group rides with them than I have with Evo, so I talked to Evo and I talked to Meta and decided that it was in my best interest as a racer to join Meta, which I think is a good decision. There are more guys on Meta who want to race and are more of my skill level and also my age too, so no hard feelings for Evo. Those guys are really, really nice, and I want to thank them for being very welcoming, but I am now on Meta. So this is my last race on Evo, and every race after this will be on Meta. So let's get into the race. So right off the gun, really fast. It's a couple of breaks. There's already somebody up the road, and I wasn't going to follow this chase effort until I saw Franco, who is the guy riding the Cannondale right there with the Gumwell tires. So he's actually the president of Meta. Really, really good guy. Who's now, I guess, my president. But so Meta had a lot of guys in this race, and we're all friends off the track, but on the track I was still on Evo, and I was still racing against them. So I wanted to do really well in this race. This was my A+ race that I'd been planning to do for all season since the Virginia State Championships were on the line. I wanted to try to win. And unfortunately for me, Meta decided to roll really deep to this race and make it really fast and really tough. So there were a lot of attacks from the Meta guys pretty consistently. So Frankie here is on my right. He has that new felt that he just got. And they're on the left. I think that's Mo on Meta. So they're going, and the rest of the guys are blocking. So Franco is right in front of me. He's trying to block. And I realized that when there are attacks that go off like this that are just threatening, that I need to follow them. So the unfortunate thing about not having a team is I don't have anybody to work with, whereas Meta, I think they had like 6 guys in this race, so they could afford to just throw attack after attack after attack and tire everybody out, including myself. So this race did not go the way I wanted it to. I spent a lot of energy chasing these back. Frankie's up here. Frankie's a machine. The dude can, think Sam Boardman. The dude can just like time trial the shit out of something, or get on the front of a pace line and just hold it. So I'm hurting right here, and I actually don't have heart rate data because my heart rate battery was really low, so it was stuck at 135. So definitely not accurate, but so it's kind of hard to tell. It's kind of hard to show you what my effort was, like how gassed I was basically. But I can just tell you that I was gassed. I was gassed pretty much from the start. My legs going into this race weren't super fresh. I'd been feeling kind of tired going into this in general, like about the week or 2 weeks leading up to this. So, and again, like I said, I'm trying to chase these guys back. So I knew that Meta was going to try this. Or actually, I take that back. I didn't know they were going to try attack after attack, but I wasn't surprised just because they had the most numbers of any team in this race. And again, I figure, all right, well, if I want to do well, I need to follow break attempts because I've never raced this course, so I don't know how likely it is for a break to stick. It's a pretty fast course. I think it's 3 turns and like a really long sweeping left, this one right here. So it goes from this long sweeping left to a more sharp left into the start-finish straight, which is actually, I think it's about 350 to 400 meters from this turn right here to the actual finish line. So it's deceptive because you don't want to sprint as soon as you make the turn because you're going to gas yourself by the time you hit the finish line. So I think around here is about maybe 250, and then about here is like 200 to go, maybe a little bit closer. So Alright, so you can see that I just spent energy trying to chase Frankie back, and now Mo's going off the front. And there's Franco as well, which I'm not really sure why he's chasing his teammates, but whatever. He kind of does what he wants in races. But I also figured this out after the race, that Mo told Franco that he had enough energy to go for about 20 minutes. So he wasn't going to finish the race. The team knew he wasn't going to finish. So his role was to be like the suicide guy and just go as hard as he could from the gun, all he had, and try everybody else out, which is working because obviously right now I'm chasing it back. So Frankie and Franco were back there trying to block, and I got through them. And so I just spent energy chasing Frankie back on the last lap, and now I'm spending energy chasing him back. And I already spent energy in a couple other break attempts earlier in this race. So already here, I'm only 4 laps into this race and I'm already gassed. I'm already feeling really, really burned in my lungs. Like my lungs are burning a bit. My heart rate's, I think it's probably maxed out at this point, probably close to 180, which is really high for me. So it's really hard. And it's tough, right? Because, you know, I want to do well, obviously, right? So, you know, these breaks look threatening. And at this point, I didn't know that Mo was only racing for 20 minutes. So I thought, okay, this guy is going to try to go the whole time. So let me go. And then Andy flies on the inside here and rails it. So he's a junior, and he can rail turns, like, almost frighteningly, to the point where it's, like, kind of dangerous. But, I mean, in this case, it worked out for him. So he, like, rails the inside. And right there, somebody just yelled at me, you know, that guy's not going to chase, which is right. So I just spent energy chasing Mo, and then I spent energy chasing Andy. And then eventually we get back together, but Andy's still trying to go off the front right here. So again, it's lap 5, and I'm gassed. And then now we're going to fast forward a little bit more. So now Frankie's trying another attempt to do a breakaway. And I think there's somebody off the front. And I'm going to go again. I'm burning all my matches at this point. Like this, my match book is getting incredibly small at this point. Like I'm to the point where I don't really plan on having a sprint. I mean, I kind of had hoped that it would come down to it because that's frankly what I'm better at. But at this point now I'm realizing that it's not going to happen. And I am kind of worried now because I know how tired I am and I know how many matches I've burned trying to chase these guys back. And, I mean, their team is deep, so right here is Dan. So I just chased Dan back. He kind of gives me some shit, you know, kind of jokingly. Because, you know, we're friends off the track, but, you know, we're still competitors at this point, because I'm still on Evo. And, again, I chase him back, and then I kind of get on the front, and then I slow down, because right here I'm exhausted. I'm, like, panting, basically. And at this point I realize, I mean, again, I'm only 8 laps in, and I'm already like, man, I'm gassed, I'm tired. So I let these guys pass, and I hop in a draft the best I can. But it was tough. I mean, it's hard, you know, going against the whole team by yourself. And nobody else really wanted to do work, so it was not totally down to me to chase them back, because, I mean, frankly, I probably could have communicated better to the other guys to help them chase, but I kind of took it upon myself to do that, and it cost me my matches. It cost me all my energy, and it hurt. I won't lie, it hurt. So now we're getting pretty quick, and somebody also just went off the front. I'm not sure if that was a meta guy or not, but I'm kind of off to the side here. I'm not really sure why I'm off to the side, but I am. I still have that bad habit. This guy's on Fat Frogs, which is actually a local bike shop. So I actually grew up in Virginia Beach. Fat Frogs is a bike shop in Virginia Beach that I used to go to. So fast forward, lap 10, and look at this. Yet another attack, because why not? Because, you know, more matches, right? So I'm attacking again, inexplicably. I'm not sure what I hope to achieve here, because I know that I'm just going to get chased back. But I think at this point I'm trying to just inject a little bit of energy into the group. I don't know if it had been slow before this, or I guess there's somebody off the front, actually. I take that back. Okay, so now I know why I attacked off the front. I haven't seen this footage in a long time, so I'm trying to remember what I was thinking in these moments. But yeah, I think I went off the front to try to chase that person back, which I'm pretty sure it's a meta guy. And at this point now, I'm kind of looking over my shoulder and wondering if anybody else is going to helmet chase, and they're not. So, I mean, this guy's kind of, but it's not fast enough to catch him. But it turns out that this course was smooth enough and not super technical, so brakes were kind of hard to make stick just because the peloton's already moving fast. And, alright, fast forward again, another couple laps, boom. Another attack, because there's still somebody off the front. And those guys just slow down, look at each other, classic, like, alright, who's going to do work, who's going to do work? And I'm like, alright, well, screw it, I'm going to do it. My heart rate now is well above my max at this point, I'm assuming, because this is probably like the sixth dig I've done in this race, and we're, what, not even halfway through, so, or about halfway through, so, yeah, this was hard. This was hurting a bit. Frankie's going. Again, Frankie's a machine. There's Flo on that blue bike right there on meta. So, yeah, we're going to fast forward a bit more now. There were a lot of parts that I cut out of this race. So, eventually we all get back together. Rudy's the meta guy in front of me in the white helmet. He's a pretty strong sprinter, and just pretty strong in general. This is Forrest here, to my, like, up on my right with the white shoes. He's really strong. He's in college, so he can only really race when he's not at school. But he's really strong, and I know he's strong. So we're all back together now, and it's kind of a cluster here. This part actually ended up being kind of dangerous, this little chicane here, because, and especially when we exited, because a lot of people bunched up and got pinched to the curb. So it made it pretty tricky to get through there safely as a group. So once again, we're back together, sitting in, and there weren't a whole lot of people in this race. There was another flyer from someone on meta. That guy's going to chase. And, all right, now the pace is picking up. There's Dan on the left. So, like I was saying, there weren't a whole lot of guys in this race. I think it was maybe 30 people. So, not a huge field. And, I mean, at this point, I think I'm like mid-pack because I don't think there are that many people behind me. So this part was always pretty fast, this really long sweeping left. And this left-hand turn into the start-finish straight was deceptively sharp just because of the way it is. It's almost like greater than 90 degrees. But you can pretty much rail this turn and be fine. I mean, obviously the road's pretty wide. And then we're kicking it in here. Now we're kind of splitting up. And this part's, this is always hard, right? When you're like stuck between two pace lines. And if you're in my position physically, like you're trying to figure out which pace line's going faster, right? Because, you know, you don't want to follow somebody and then have them slow down in front of you. You know, it's kind of like being in traffic, like getting in the left lane and somebody comes in front of you and they slow down. Similar concept where it's, you know, you don't want to follow slower traffic. But yeah, we're keeping the speed pretty high here. There were points in this race where we were chill, but the general speed of this race was pretty quick, I would say. This guy's moving completely backwards. I don't know what's going on there. Yeah, that was tight. I got a little nervous in that turn because it had rained. It had been raining off and on all day this day that we raced, and obviously there's the white paint for the crosswalk, which if you're a rider and you know that if it's wet, it's pretty much like ice. So it wasn't very wet; it kind of dried out, but still enough for me to be a little concerned because I'm a little sketched out by wet white paint. I've seen enough crashes on those to be wary of it. So following Rudy up here, giving me a nice pull, and it's kind of splitting up now. That 138 guy's done. This guy in the orange has a Kenny from South Park kit, which is pretty funny. That guy's flying. So this guy on Fat Frogs was told to just go. And he hauls with a lot of speed, cooks it too hot, and goes boom right into that pole. And that was the end of his race. He took a nap on the lawn. So yeah, that was mildly terrifying to see this bike come back onto the course. But that will not be the last Fat Frogs crash in this race. I'm not really sure how much race experience Fat Frogs has had, but there will be more. So you're probably wondering, okay, why did Rudy post up? So he posted up because Forrest just won the Preem, but he thought it was last lap. So he thought that Forrest won the race, but he got a preem instead. And Dan kind of just shook his head and yelled at him like, dude, that wasn't the race. But yeah, we gave him a bunch of shit for that after, but it was all good. So another attack going up here on the inside. This guy in the green was pretty strong. He was throwing in a couple digs. And we're going pretty quick here, 27. Grab a little bit of break there. Continue to roll through it. I was kind of nervous with cornering in this race, I think just because of the wet pavement. But again, I mean, we're down to 20 laps out of 27, so you know, I'm pretty much using almost all my matches. Like if I were planning a bunch sprint at the end, I don't know how much I'd have left. And then I get on the front here because there's somebody off the front, or two guys off the front actually. It's kind of hard to see with the video that I'm watching, but yeah, I was the guy who tried chasing a lot of this back. And, I mean, no surprise, right? I'm spending all this time trying to go not only fast, but also into the wind by myself. And it hurt. It really took a toll. And I felt exhausted. And it was hard because every time I got caught, there would be a counterattack. Because, you know, Meta had the numbers to do it. So, it was pretty demoralizing on my side to, you know, I try to commit to these to try to chase them. And, you know, I'd make it, like, part of the way there, but I think, like, I would just get so tired that I just kind of sit up and stop. So there's Mo, I think Mo's done. And, yeah, so now I'm, like, I see the guys in front, but I'm done. I'm winded. So Fat Frogs goes, Flo goes, here's Andy right here on the Cannondale, somebody else goes, and I can't respond because my legs are on fire. And my heart is through the roof. So these guys go up the road, and I have this huge gap, and it's hard because now I'm like, oh shit, I'm getting past and all that kind of stuff. But fast forward a little bit more, so now we're back together again. This is basically the next lap, so we all come back together on the backstretch, and coming together, grouping up. This part was always a little dangerous if we were bunched up in a group on this left turn, just because it was tight enough that I was a little concerned, and some people were a little sketchy through there, so. Yeah, I was kind of cruising through, coming into the chicane. Took this corner pretty well. Franco takes that wide outside line. And we're bunched up here. This is like in the middle of the pack. And I can't really see much of the front, and then boom, crash right in front of me, and I have to slam the brakes. I'm actually amazed I didn't fall down. I managed to stop just in time. So slow down. So I'm trying to figure out what happened. I've been looking at this video a lot. So this guy in the front, Fat Frogs guy, like basically chops a wheel, kind of. But then the next thing you know, he kind of disappears behind that rider that it was in front of him, or in front of me. And then the next thing you see, he's on the ground. So I'm going to slow it down even more. And I'm trying to see where he is. So you can kind of see, all right, so he cuts left there, right in the front, and then boom. Like, he either hits somebody, clips a wheel, and completely goes down. And guys, this could have been avoided. The number one rule is protect your front wheel. And I think that's what happened here. He didn't protect his front wheel, and that's exactly how crashes happen. And it sucks because we didn't have enough race left for there to be any free laps. So me and all these guys that went down go back to the start line, and we didn't have any more free laps, which means my race and these guys' races were over. That guy's waving me through. He's like, there are no more free laps. And I'm like, F, that sucks. And that's it. I mean, that's pretty much the end of my race. So it was disappointing, to be sure. You know, I wanted to do well, and I mean, frankly, if I had still finished the race with the pack, you know, I don't know how much of a sprint I would have had because I was pretty exhausted, but I was pretty frustrated after this race. I was frustrated with how much I chased back the attacks, how much energy I spent, and obviously the crash itself. I was pretty upset. So, you know, this is racing. You know, shit happens. Sometimes they're good, sometimes they're bad. And I'm still glad I did it, obviously. And for Meta, it was really cool to see them do the strategy. they did really, really well. I got to give them props. They got a comment from another rider that said that they took a page out of the Legion playbook, which is definitely a compliment. So, yeah, end of my race, but and then I joined Meta, so it kind of all works out. And now all these guys are my teammates. So, thanks for watching, guys. Once again, like and subscribe if you like this content. There are more videos to come. Got a couple more races for you guys. And I will catch you guys at the next one.
I'm like, I heard Bell, and I'm like, oh, yeah, right, let's go. I was behind him, and I saw Rudy post up. I'm like, bro, what are you doing? Oh, Lord, keep going. Dude, Rudy, I was right behind you, just fucking screaming at you, dude. I heard you. Hey, but I got my shit together. I came back to the front, though. I saw you. You didn't slow down. No way. I saw you down the right away. My fitness. Hey, man, small wins, dude. Celebrate small wins. Sprint down. My fitness is great right now, bro. Jesus. Hey, you remember when you were in the front? And then I was right behind you. Dude, I had to close down the gaps. And
when Frankie went in the front,
I love you guys, but fuck you guys.
When in the front, I sprinted up and then I slowed it down.
Oh, that was beautiful. I thought you were chasing him.
No. Come on. I got up next to him and I slowed it down.
Yeah, that was beautiful.
You guys tired me out.